few weeks ago, the theme park world was shocked to hear the news that Six Flags America, the company's DC-based park about to open for its 25th season, is going to close at the end of the year. Now, I'd say we weren't shocked in the sense that nobody saw it coming. With the merger of Cedar Fair and Six Flags, the company now owned Six Flags America and King's Dominion only about an hour and a half away from each other and serving a similar region. We were more shocked because it happened so abruptly. New trains had just been purchased for Superman Ride of Steel, and the park was actively promoting its 25th anniversary celebration on social media. This is Eric from Park Rovers, and being a DC area resident, I will admit I have been neglectful of our most local park. Six Flags America is a 26-minute drive from my front door to the parking lot, yet almost every time I have a free weekend, I find myself an hour down I-95 at King's Dominion or 2 hours to Busch Gardens Williamsburg. With that in mind, I want to make it a point this year to visit Six Flags America as much as possible and enjoy the final season of this often derided yet underappreciated park. To start, I figured we'd just take a walk around the park, check out how things are going at the beginning of Six Flags America's 25th anniversary. I'll be adding some commentary here and there, but I also want to leave a few spaces to just stroll through and appreciate the ambiance around the park. I've always found that Six Flags America has a very understated and welcoming entrance, surrounded by foliage with not many visible thrills in your sight lines. Superman Ride of Steel is really the only coaster present in your view. Other than that, it's just colonial building facades and pleasant music to welcome you to Main Street 1776. We soon found ourselves approaching SteamTown, which is, hands down, the best themed area in the entire park. And it's also the biggest reminder in the park's final season of what could have been. The buildings and sets are carefully crafted with an original score that feels bigger and more produced than anything that you would expect from a regional park. Yeah, I might hop on that. I took the chance to hop on the Steam Whirler, which is a Zamperla Nebula Z flat ride with fantastic theming. This was a brand new addition with the retheming of this land only 1 year ago, and it's just plain fun. Shout out to my wife, who isn't a fan of spinning rides but got some great shots while I was riding. We checked in at Filament's Steam Pub, the quality of which speaks for itself. The interiors are beautiful and well maintained. I love that they actually have a little bar set up along the counter too. It's not just takeaway. The back of the land features Professor Screammore's Sidewinder. It's a mouthful. It's their Vekoma SLC. Even with the new trains, again, new trains just a year ago, SLCs are still a little too much for me. I'm happy to have my cred and not repeat too often. It's a shame because the ride looks great, and they did a terrific job theming an existing coaster in with the new land. I would expect that this ride is high on the list of coasters that could potentially move to a different park in the chain. At the very least, they will send those new trains to another location. More than anywhere else, this area shows that the park was really trying. Just a year ago, millions were put into this land to give Six Flags America a signature area that any type of park fan can come to and be impressed with the level of detail. Much like Professor Screammore, it shows that they had their eyes set on the future. Leaving SteamTown, we headed left into the Chesapeake area. More than anywhere in the park, I'd say that this has a theme in name only, featuring a variety of attractions that don't seem to be connected to any central narrative. As you can see, being early May, we still have a few weeks to go until the park is fully operational. Still no water rides, no train, major shows, and a handful of flat rides are all closed until after Memorial Day. Passing by Roar, another usual skip for me as it is the definition of a jackhammer Woody, I'm once again reminded of the impending closure. This ride was always high on people's lists for a potential RMC conversion, but unfortunately now it's likely doomed for the scrapyard. Next door is Firebird, the first ever B&M. While I don't love this ride, it's a bit of a headbanger itself, it's a real shame that this will likely be the end of the road for it as well. In my opinion, it's too rough at this point to justify the cost of taking it down and shipping it off to another park. Just not enough juice in that squeeze. Regardless of how it rides, to be the first ever B&M, that counts for something. I'll definitely get a farewell ride in at some point this season. From there, we were on to the largest section of the park, Gotham City. As soon as you enter the area, you're greeted by the large Gotham City arena. The sets that you can see inside look impressive, but I have yet to catch a stunt show there. As a whole, Gotham City does not have the most impressive theming. It's mostly just vague city facades put onto funnel cake stands and the like. But Gotham definitely hosts the most impressive ride lineup. The first being Harley Quinn Spinsanity, a pendulum frisbee flat ride from Zamperla. Like much of Gotham, the theming is minimal, but the thrills are high. This ride is only 4 years old, another very recent investment, so you can all but guarantee that this one will be relocated to a new home after the 2025 season. Next to Harley Quinn is an open-air food court area that features a very cool Batmobile parked in the center. There's a top-notch bar area, Steelworks Bar, where you can grab a drink in the shade and sit next to the Batmobile, which I'd consider to be a pretty unique experience. The bar also features great views of most of the central area of the park. It's a 9 out of 10 theme park bar that could only be improved with a better draft selection. Passing the food court, we encounter Joker's Jinx, a Premier Rides Flight of Fear clone. My opinion here, but I think that this is the smoothest coaster in the park. It's well maintained, and it doesn't use the brake run halfway through like Flight of Fear, so you don't lose any of that momentum. This is a must ride for me every visit. I'm a big fan. As far as the future for this one goes, I wouldn't be surprised either way. It seems like an easy choice to be packed up and relocated, but at 26 years old, you have to wonder how much life it has left. It may just be easier to call it a day with this one. The hits keep coming as we approach Superman Ride of Steel. The thing that I was most excited to check out on this visit were the brand new trains that the park just invested in for the 25th anniversary. And they are slick. They look fantastic. Like, you could immediately tell from afar by the way that they shimmered in the sunlight that they were brand new. I swear, like, from the park entrance, you could tell that they were new. The seats still feel a little claustrophobic, and my ride operator absolutely stapled me. We're talking nervous that I was going to lose feeling in my legs stapled. Overall, though, they are such an upgrade from the worn-down seats that you were greeted with last season. I was hoping the new trains might help a bit with the rattle that this ride has, but I'm not sure they did. It may just be a track issue at this point for the 25-year-old Intamin Hypercoaster. I really enjoy this ride, rattle and all, and unfortunately, I feel like this will be destined for the scrapyard as well, with the new trains going to Darien Lake. The footprint is just too large to conveniently move it somewhere else. The final stop in Gotham is isolated way in the back. I mean, way in the back. It almost feels off-property. The world's last Vekoma Flying Dutchman Batwing. I don't even want to speak these words into existence, but I just don't think there's much of a chance that this one-of-a-kind coaster survives the closing. Riding X-Flight, another Flying Dutchman at the now defunct Six Flags Ohio, was a seminal moment in my theme park fandom. I was obsessed with that coaster as a kid, and equally thrilled to learn that there was one right down the road when I first moved to DC. It was my #1 priority on my first visit, and it does not disappoint. This ride is disorienting, it's forceful, and it's still smooth 20 plus years after opening. The vertical loop that you take on your back is a potential gray out every time. I really hope Batwing survives, but I'm going to get as many rides in as I can this summer just in case. Making the long walk out of Gotham, we headed to Mardi Gras. Mardi Gras, much like Gotham, has themed storefronts and some themed rides, but the ambiance overall doesn't quite sell what the name suggests. The highlight here is the PTC Woody Wild One, the park's oldest coaster and an ace landmark. This one is really interesting from the perspective of the park closing. Wild One is 108 years old, and by all accounts, it should be saved and reconstructed somewhere. However, it is a gigantic coaster with 4,000 feet of track, making the task of relocation seem almost impossible for something that old. This continues today's theme of rides that I truly believe deserve more, but I just can't see how they justify the cost of preserving it in some way, and that's a real shame. If we want to focus more on an almost guarantee to be saved, look no further than Ragin' Cajun, a Zamperla spinning mouse. This ride actually rocks. I love Ragin' Cajun. If you can get a car off balance, this thing absolutely tornadoes you through the entire course. Like top speed spinning from the second that it releases. It's absolutely insane. This will easily be broken down and shipped off, and considering that it was the only ride in the entire park with a significant line, I can see why. Also, shout out to Hurricane's Bar, another top-notch theme park bar. Six Flags America is surprisingly strong in its bar setups. Looney Tunes Movie Town is actually still in really great shape. The theming, I would say, is on par with the Sesame Lands and the Busch and SeaWorld parks. The final land is the shady, welcoming old Boston area. Adorned with charming flat rides and a nice ambiance, I couldn't help walking around and wondering where all these rides would be in a year or two. If you need a break from the heat this summer, I'd recommend this area as it's probably the most wooded section of the park. I also can't recommend enough to stop into Heritage House to check out the exhibit that they have set up that walks you through the entire history of the park. For devoted fans, you'll easily spend 15-20 minutes just checking out all of the details in here. Of course, the visit would not be complete without a stop at the gift stores on the way out, which featured surprisingly little 25th anniversary merch. I had my heart completely set on a t-shirt to commemorate this historic year for the park. Maybe they're waiting until Memorial Day to really roll out the anniversary merch. And that's it. Our first visit for the 25th and final season of Six Flags America. I encourage any park fan who has it within their means to make their way to check out this park before it closes its doors forever. I know that it can get a bad rap. The rides are mostly outdated, and busy days can bring out the worst in people. However, as I walked around the park and took in the reality of what the park closing means for a majority of the rides, I couldn't help but appreciate them just a little bit more for what they are. You know, the most uncomfortable B&M suddenly becomes more historic for what it represents to the industry. The flying coaster that's always broken down is the last of an almost extinct innovative ride system, and that old, rattly wooden coaster has stood tall for longer than almost every other coaster that you've ever ridden. There's a dignity to so many of these rides. Elder statesmen in a constantly modernizing industry. And I, for one, want to celebrate that. Thanks for watching.